seems like a
We'll call the committee of the whole for April 11th order. First order of business, the agenda. Any additions or deletions? I have one I'd like to put in there. Leduc and District Food Bank notice of annual general meeting, 6.1. Anybody have any other additions or deletions? If not, can I get a motion to accept the agenda with that one addition?
I'd move to adopt the amended agenda yet.
Thank you, Corey. All in favor? That's carried. First order of business, Residential Development Incentive Policy 2012-04. Sir Donna, you want to comment on that, please?
For sure, Your Worship. Just starting to go through policies, and of course, when we did the commercial one, which is fine, we came across the residential one. And as you can see there, the different percentages of folks that were able to take the Residential Development Incentive Policy 2012-04. And in the Alberta Bulletin and under the FGA, residential tax incentives were never appropriate, and they were only for commercial. They were never for residential. And in a residential, you can offer a rebate, but you can't offer multi-year tax exemptions, only for commercial. So the exemptions, of course, are farm and commercial. And so because we can't offer this at all, and because the MJ doesn't allow it, and neither does the Alberta government, we are asking to rescind this policy. Correct.
I don't like either of them. I feel like they brought in I liked the idea of it. I was supportive of it at the time, but we've tried it and it didn't really bring in, nobody built something because of the incentives that they weren't going to build either way. So I'm fine getting rid of it, but I'm pretty 99% sure. Okay, so under MJ 397 is where council has discretion, where they can reduce, exempt, whatever, change tax rates for the municipal portions of someone's tax, obviously not the school portion, but it's regardless. The purpose of this, of Bill 7, which is what this amendment was not to change that, and it doesn't change it. If you go through the amending legislation, it doesn't change 397. What it does is give extra ability to grant by bylaw a default long-term incentive to commercial properties to streamline the process. As is our policy, is a policy, not a bylaw, because yes, you cannot do a bylaw, you can only do the current year or prior years under 397, which is why it was a thing that was supposed to be brought back for 5 years. Every year council had to reapprove it. So it's a policy that in principle will provide you this break, but no, it wasn't a bylaw. But it is allowed. It's not that we're not allowed to do it, it's just that we have to go through this cumbersome process. This was streamlining that process for commercial.
Yeah, 100% for commercial. You're 100% right. And of course, the residential is does the legislation apply to all assessment classes? No. Residential farmland and machinery and equipment classes are not eligible under the legislation for any kind of tax incentive.
No, but under the amending bylaws, what they're discussing, whereby you could have it like, okay, over 50, it went from A up to 15 years, and it could just be a default. So if somebody comes in and says, I want to build something, you could say, yes, it's with one step awarded for the entire 15 years. under 397 is which everyone used to use, including for commercial. You just year by year for 15 years would have to reapprove it every year. That's the only distinction. So you can't do it for residential, is that they made it easier for commercial as a one-step instead of a year-by-year thing.
Well, and they were also hoping too that municipalities, Councilor, what I'm agreeing with you, would offer rebates. Yeah. So anyway,
Sure.
We don't have a bylaw for residential, so there's nothing to repeal there. It's just the policy 2012-04 we're recommending be rescinded.
Just curious, how did we find out about this?
Research.
Okay.
Sometimes it is, because we started looking at this residential policy. We were trying to find any kind of legislation surrounding. We were trying to find any bulletins from the provincial government, which we added into your council package, and that's what we found. And we thought it's time to let it go.
Is there any currently running that program, the Senate program that we have for that?
I don't think we have anything at the moment. They're all of them done, aren't they?
I talked to the assessor today. Even if they were still running, we can't do anything about it.
Right.
So those folks that have that incentive.
I don't think there is. I think you guys
I think so.
and you're done now. So.
Yeah, we can't do anything to those. Let's say we had one or two, we can't do anything.
Right.
Well, like I say, I don't think either category, commercial or residential, did its purpose. But if you're going to do it for one, you should be doing it for, I mean, if you're going to do commercial, you should be doing residential. We should be repealing all of it, not just the residential, as far as I'm concerned. If we're going to keep one, we should be keeping both.
So I guess what we're looking for, we'll accept this motion to accept the information, and then at our regular meeting, we'll vote on it to rescind it, or whatever we're going to do with it. So if I can get a motion to that effect.
I move to accept for information and defer to the, sorry, when are we looking to? Sorry, I'm on my phone here. Defer to what meeting?
April 25th.
April 25th.
Yep. All right, thank you. All in favor? That's carried.
When do we have discussion with if we really want to rescind them or not?
Well, so that's that.
Okay.
Yeah. So now you've got all the information, you can,
Research accordingly on your own, and come to
Exactly.
a conclusion, and then we can talk about it on the 25th. Yeah.
and then we'll make,
I just don't want to rescind it prematurely until we've had that discussion.
Yeah.
That's my concern,
Yeah, we wouldn't ask for a rescind
Yeah.
tonight anyway.
And so this was similar to what Moco was offering that you had checked up on and
Yeah, when you sent me the link. So I linked in.
watched theirs? I'm just wondering how many other municipalities in Alberta, not that it's our problem, but.
No, we're not the police, but there's quite a few, I guarantee you, there's quite a few that have these policies. And I agree with Councilor Gilbert, it really needs to certainly help some folks in Thorsby. I get that, I understand that. But out of the 7 or 8, we lost a lot of tax money, lose a lot of tax money. So,
of course.
I was going to say, there's lots of places across the province that still have it, both for and residential as well. As long as it's in a policy and as long as it's reviewed annually, it's fine.
Okay. All right, well, like I say, everybody can do their little homework on it, and then we'll bring it up for the next meeting, on the 25th. 3.2, Luke County Regional Subdivision and Development Appeal Board. Bylaw 2023, Appeal Board, so they had a meeting here on, when was it here, last Wednesday, I believe?
yeah, that's correct. The planner and myself were there, and for this and for the municipal sustainability plan and municipal sustainability plan that will be coming at the end of the month for council to review because we have to. So this is Liz, yeah. Liz, our planner, is going to walk us through this one.
So this is intermunicipal. It's for, as you can see, all the communities, the Luke County.
Good evening. Hi, Liz. Hello.
Hi, Liz. You're on with council, and I turn the portion of the meeting. I should say I defer you to Mayor Hoffman.
Hi, Liz. It's nice to talk to you. It's the first time I've heard lots about you, and Unfortunately, I couldn't make that meeting last week there, but I'll turn it over to you if you want to tell us the gist of what we're doing here. I appreciate that.
I am happy to tell you about this. Thank you so much for inviting me to tonight's meeting, and I look forward to the day that I get to meet you all in person. For the Regional Subdivision and Development Appeal Board, SCAB, essentially what is being proposed is that currently every municipality has to have an SCAB. And I'll refer to it as SCAB throughout my conversation just because it's shorter, and it's a little bit less of a mouthful. Essentially, municipality has to have an SCAB, and an SCAB has to have a particular amount of committee members. It's a quasi-judicial board, and they essentially hear any appeals for a subdivision or a stop order that goes to the AB. Some subdivision development and stop order appeals could actually end up going to the Alberta Land and Rights Tribunal, which is with the province. However, for the ones that remain local with the SCAB, the municipalities all have to hire the wrong word. They all have to have on the availability for multiple committee members. Those committee members have to maintain training that meets a particular standard. And when an appeal is brought forward, anybody can appeal anything. Sort of like anybody can sue anybody. And so if somebody appeals something, we have the responsibility through the Municipal Government Act to hold an appeal within so many days. And so you have to keep multiple people on kind of a roster of people that can be on this committee, because some people might be on vacation, or they might be unavailable, or they might have a conflict of interest because it could be their brother that is launching the appeal, or any number of circumstances. So what Leduc County and the regional municipality are proposing is that we create a regional SCAB. The benefits to this are every municipality gets to save some money because you're not all training people. And not every municipality doesn't have to keep a roster, you keep a regional roster. And the county does all the hard work and the heavy lifting, which I personally think is great. And then when an appeal comes in, that goes to them and it's heard by the regional board, who will all have their required education and learning that needs to be in place. So it basically is taking an administrative task that is rarely used in the town of Thorsby. In fact, I don't know the last time you guys had an appeal. And regardless, you still have to keep that roster, right? So basically, it's taking a task that is rarely used but mandated upon us and placing the cost to do that and the around the region, and ideally lowering the cost for you guys. Now, there is a cost when there's an appeal, but you'll have that cost no matter what if there's an appeal to bring in your own members, and the only addition would be, I think, the mileage. So it's something that is being done throughout the province, wherever there are people who are able, or municipalities that are able to do the regional option. So do you have any questions?
Okay, yeah, I'll ask anybody at council. Anybody have a question for this here? No, I think you've done a pretty good job on here, and I don't believe you. I think you're correct. I don't recall anybody. Corey, you recall any appeals in here? Yeah, I don't know.
Because we have to look a long ways back, I'm sure, to find one.
Yeah, so, but that's not.
You need subdivision and development to have an appeal, right? I mean,
not to say something couldn't happen tomorrow, right?
I feel like there was regarding your neighbor, and I don't remember Joe D, because it's a modular. Zoning.
It's a zoning issue.
Right.
That was
There was
before I was
some
on
sort of
council,
a
but it was
board
about
that-
zoning, not about subdivision and development.
Right.
I feel like it came
The
before.
other side of the street was zoned to allow for mobile homes, and his side of the street was, like, the middle of the street was the cutoff, so we wanted to put a mobile home in, but the zoning didn't allow for mobiles.
Okay, perfect.
So yeah, it didn't actually apply for this necessarily.
But I feel like it went before a board of some sort. I feel like I know somebody that was on the board.
I say it was before I was on council, I don't feel like it, I feel like they just changed the zoning and everyone moved on. I feel like.
Anyway, if there was an issue, that may have been one.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Liz, appreciate that for doing this, and like I say, I look forward to meeting you in person one of these days, and all the work that you've been doing for us in the last little while, so thank you very much for phoning in, and that's all we have for you, I believe.
All right. Well, thank you for listening to me. Times that you guys will get to know me that way. And hopefully you guys understand what this is. And for me, I personally think it's a great solution. And over time, I believe because you don't have appeals all the time, it should reduce your costs in terms of that training, that piece that's required.
All right. Very good. Thank you very much again. Bye.
Awesome. Have a wonderful night.
You too. All right, so I guess we need a motion to accept this for the agreement for information, and then we'll bring the bylaw 2023-04 to the April 25th meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Tracy, all in favor? And that is carried. Okay. Moving right on here. 3.3, Leduc Regional Housing Foundation 2022 Audit Financial Statement. So I received a copy of this from myself and council, on behalf of council, from Margaret Haggerty, and so included in here. So if anybody has any questions on it, or you want to discuss it here, now's the time to do so. Or anything, have you seen it this week?
Yeah, I'm the finance committee for the Leduc Foundation. Yeah, no, it's, I mean, if anyone has any questions, I could probably answer them, but I think it was all.
I think the only question that I still have is, like, are they still looking for money from us?
Yes. We're the only municipality that hasn't explicitly committed to provide funding if the grants are received. The provincial grant has been received, still waiting to hear on the federal, when they're trying to stack the grants, right? So the Alberta part has been approved. The federal part, we're waiting to hear. The amount would be the exact same as what the requisition amounts are, which if I go through here, I want to say it was 22,780, I believe, is what our contribution would be if we agree to contribute.
Right, right.
Leduc County, it sounds like may or may not do the full ask, but they're going to do something, it sounds like, and everyone else has approved their contribution in principle, assuming the grants go through.
Okay, so what do we, I guess, we're just gonna sit on it, I guess, or are we going to bring it back at some point? They're gonna send out some guys to talk to us?
Well, I mean, it's, assuming the federal grant is received, is the first thing. I know, like the city of Leduc passed a motion to kind of underwrite the whole thing just to get the grant going through. I know that they are amenable, because obviously there's some hesitation with the county, because there's a very large sum.
Yeah.
As whether they could wait and apply it like into next year's budget, and City of Leduc sit on that money if needed. I mean, the project's not going to be built in 6 months either way, but if somehow expenses got ahead of it, Leduc City seemed amenable to just waiting and like backstopping it until the new budget year as well, if that wasn't a concern of anyone's as far as how to.
So yeah, so that it makes sense. So we're just gonna sit tight and wait and see what happens.
Sure.
Okay. Anybody have any other questions in there on the?
I do, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
So we're sitting tight. We're gonna have to, if we're gonna, depending on how long we sit tight, we have to determine if we're gonna use this in the spring budget adjustments, or if we're gonna go to the 2024 budget.
Which is why I mentioned that, yeah, the City of Leduc was amenable to kind of kicking the can to next budget year if that was a hang up for, whatever reason, so.
Well, yeah, I didn't get there, I watched that meeting and I didn't get there, they didn't come out with a real good resolution, right? So I'm trying to think what you guys decide in here, because they were in camera for a long time, so.
I can include it in when we come for spring
Do the
adjustment,
adjustment, okay.
and then we can.
It is a fairly modest amount, so I mean, it's not like it's a like a preposterous ask, but yeah, I get it all adds up though too, right? So.
Yeah, so some other things that have come up too, so.
Yeah, we'll leave it in your capable hands then, Cindy, you'll figure it out for us.
Thank you.
There is I was trying to find the number here real quick, just if anyone does actually go through it, there's kind of a weird kind of,
There's a little table.
an internal reserve that kind of looks funny. I want to say it's about 600. That was a holdover of like a life safety system grant for Plainview Place, I believe it was. The project came in way under budget, and the province said, well, you can keep the money, but still have to spend it on life safety things. So they're figuring out how to spend it. That has since been spent, and it's not there. But if you go through, you'll find this weird kind of, I want to say it's about 600,000 kind of odd number in there where you're, well, that doesn't, why is that? And so it's, yeah, leftover grant money.
So just a question for Corey. So the requisitions for 2023 is the amount that they'll ask?
No, the 2022 amount is what it's based off of.
Okay.
So yeah, I want to say 2,780, I believe is what it is.
For 2022, it's 2575.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
that's right.
I thought I had read 25.
Yeah, 2575 it is.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you for that. Can I get a motion to accept the Leduc Regional Housing Foundation audit financial statement for information?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, John, all in favor? And that is carried. 3.4, Leduc County informal meeting date.
Does Kathy still work there?
Pardon me?
Does, Kathy, your wife, Kathy, or,
Yes,
does she still work there?
yes, she does.
We're making a decision on whether to provide business.
Yeah, so
to this. Probably wanna,
I will step out of that and I'll turn it over to you to take it over here.
yeah, I don't think it's actually an issue, but just, you know.
No,
measure.
she is a waitress there, so
No, I agree, yeah.
we're gonna vote on the, yeah, thank you for bringing that to attention, so, I'll just, let you guys talk about it, and I'll walk out here, and I'll come back and, when you're done. Thank you.
Enlarge it, bigger font.
Oh, no, half of it's got that weird thing where it doesn't go.
Oh, yeah, it's not.
So instead you just pass it over to, administration.
Want me to move it?
Yeah,
The other way.
yeah, I'd have to look at that one.
There you go.
I mean, eye on each one.
Can you see that?
It's regarding a collaborative meeting between Leduc County and us, and that we hosted
It's an informal meeting.
over at Neighbors.
Oh, so the problem is because Kathy works there.
Yeah,
we're
I get it.
making a decision to
I was like, I don't know
reward
what-
them
Okay.
business, I don't know.
So
It's a pretty arbitrary, silly one, but yeah.
it's proposed for June 5th.
Yes, I see that at 5:30 at the TFR. So what do we want to do? We want to, we can't vote on it, can we?
Why?
Can we vote?
Why not?
What's the cow? Can you make a
It's
motion?
not
on
a
a cow?
policy or procedure,
It's
right?
not a policy or procedure. We can, if you're amenable to the date, it's really not a resolution. It's, and then, council can consider what kind of agenda items you want to discuss there that are informal or any kind of collaborative things, however you want to do it. Or you wanna make
Or
a
just so that we can get it out of the way, and then Daryl can come, and if we do want to talk about, any, like, specific items or whatever. Yeah, I have no, unless anyone has objections, conflicts, whatever. I don't know, I move that council, you know, direct administration to proceed with said arrangements and to participate in said collaborative meeting with the Leduc County.
We all agree.
You say all in favor.
All in favor? No?
Thank you.
So we could tell Daryl.
Yeah, because that part of it's out of the way now.
Or
It's
Daryl,
decided where
Corey
it's at,
made
so
the
yeah.
motion that's in favor, and that we're
Deputy
all in
Mayor, could you
favor.
announce it carried or not carried?
Oh, yeah.
It'd be helpful if you actually have to do it.
It got flipped at you and you didn't
Yeah.
realize it was coming.
Nope.
And then just trying to be back over to Daryl.
Thank you for that. We're good to move on to
Yeah,
the
well, we
next.
just, I made move to just, yeah, we're happy to, with the date and registration makers, but she was asking if we want to have any specific items or specific, topics for discussion or anything, so.
Collaborative type topics, nothing, I hate you or you hate me or whatever, but
No.
collaborative, joint
What
topics.
do you, did anybody have,
I
what,
think permitting still.
the last time we met there was at the golf course, right?
That was what the city
That
was.
was
Leduc.
That was Luke. Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, so we actually have never met with them here.
No, you have not. They'll host the next one next year. It's usually a yearly thing.
I don't know, I mean,
I say with permitting, they do Warburg, and the county does a far better job, and it's cheaper, it is more expedient, there's less hiccups. From someone who actually pulls a lot of permits, I very much, I think we should approach them about whether we could structure such an arrangement and have them be our permit.
You mean like get rid of inspections, Kurt?
Yeah. Warburg has such an arrangement, and the county just does it for them, and it's.
I agree with Councillor.
Gilbert.
Thank you.
So we could put that on there, and maybe we could reach out to them and ask them if they have any things that they want to put on.
Yeah, they have some topics they were waiting to hear from us,
Okay.
yeah.
So
They know it's new for your council, more so than their council.
Okay.
And this is just because it's been brought up before, but like the trails under the rec agreement?
Yeah, we can talk about that, because currently the rec doesn't pay for the trails, so certainly ask them. Talk to them about it.
It also doesn't do really anything that's not the rec center, really, does it? Like, they don't do parks or anything in general, they do the rec center.
They do the rec center, that's correct, yeah.
So
But I know Kelly had said that her and Dean had discussed it, and he was willing to talk about it.
You're willing to consider it.
And her title is, I think, Parks and Recreation, isn't it?
But yeah, I guess my point is, if we have a rec agreement, it'd be nice to have it cover recreation, not a single building.
Right, yes, so that's, yeah.
Right, so I mean, the trails is a good part, but I mean, there's park across the street is still recreation, I mean, why is it not included? I mean, there's lots of things. I know the community hall has been a thing before where they do fund, they do cost share with most other halls in the area, and we don't cost share anything with them, we just put the bill.
I think because we're not considered a county hall, it's a municipal hall.
There's other such halls though that they do cost share with.
I don't know which ones you'd be referring to,
There's
but
the one in Warburg. I believe there's one in Kalmar. I think there's, well, Moose Rep is relevant because it's obviously the county now, but they used to before it was part of the county. There's a few in the area that are municipally, like municipal halls that they still contribute.
Andrew?
Yeah, as for the trails, I know it was probably two or three years ago, the Duke County had kind of like an Easter egg hunt thing, but there was no actual eggs put out. But they had little signs put up, and they had them down to actually the trails by the Lions Campground, where you go and you'd actually scan the thing, and it'd give you a tidbit of information about the area. So they do utilize trails. Duke County does.
Licking County. Well, it's a scavenger hunt that's going on right now.
Yeah.
And yes, an idea is you can submit your answers through the QR code.
Yeah. Which I think is amazing. I do it with my kids. It gets us out driving around all through.
Yeah, so that's being hosted for the month of April, and that's a Leduc County initiative.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that sounds good. I'm sure if we get anything else, we can always add them to the agenda when we get in there.
I think so. We were gonna talk about, 780, what's it up here? 780? Thank you, 778. I don't think we need to do it at this, us and the roads, Andrew and I and the roads team with the county will discuss that. We want to trade them off a little bit so that they're not plowing 778 because they're plowing all their storm drains in. And we'd rather plow and they do something else. We'd rather look after that and they take care of something else for us because we have to keep steaming those drains and making sure they're free all summer. But we'll take care of that administratively. So.
All right, so did you approve the date for June 5th? You had a motion for that?
Yes.
Okay, we're good. Okay, perfect. Thank you for that. All right, 3.5, council recruit report due date. So, see, Donna, you've come up with some Dates there?
We just thought we'd make it easier for council, so we don't have to remind all the time. Sometimes we get busy and may forget a day or two. So these are all the deadlines. We appreciate council giving their council reports to us.
Especially when things like long week, I saw the email. I totally get why you're asking early, but I have no time to do it early because I wasn't planning on doing it early. So yeah, no, it's actually very helpful.
Glad you approved.
Yes, I think it's, it's cool. It's one of those things where,
That's all good.
Yeah,
It just makes sense. That way, you know, you can post it up on your computer or
Exactly.
whatever you want to do with it.
Yeah.
Some of the dates you may think, why do we?
All those days work for everybody?
I wrote them down on your phone.
Yeah, they're just,
Playing hockey then?
I know. I have no idea.
they're typically 2 days before we send out the package. That way we can get everything in.
All right, Troy, go ahead.
If I could, on a related sort of note to see what everyone's thoughts were, we spend a lot of time at these going through reports that are just verbatim, people are reading the report, it's there, if somebody wants to read it, great, but if there's no questions or anything, can we start just entering them as like a consent agenda? If anyone has something they want to pull out and discuss, great, but if we're just sitting reading them, I mean, it's kind of just a time-consuming exercise for not a lot of purpose. If nobody actually has any questions or anything on any specific items, then can we just accept them?
Okay.
If everybody gives reports, like, I would still like, because there's some people that don't ever hand in
Sure,
reports.
but then add the ones that are submitted as a consent agenda,
Yeah,
and those are what are
yeah, because I mean,
into the minutes and everything, and
yeah, my only thing is, you know, if I don't necessarily talk about everything in my report that went on in the meeting, but I guess I could just say I did bring up some points that we discussed at FCSS and library board, but if I don't have everything, or should we all be like putting all the details in our reports then?
if it's relevant, but I mean, if you're just filling columns just for the sake of it, that's silly. If there's actually something that's relevant that needs to be pointed out, I would say, but.
Well,
My only comment would be like, you know, I think, I hear what you're saying, right? I mean, everybody's get the package, but the public, right?
It is there for the minutes, it is there for posterity if someone wants to look at it and see it and read it.
Yeah.
They do have an
I like
opportunity.
the opportunity to be able to ask questions like to recreation and when I hear something's going on over at the complex that I wasn't aware of. But if I read that, then if I have something more to ask, I think I could pop up.
Yeah, if there's something over and above, it's easy to say like, here, I'd like to pull the rec report out because I have a question about whatever, so we're not gonna include that in the consent agenda, but hey, all these other reports that I don't have questions about, we'll just get out of the way.
So we'd have to look at the start of the agenda, consent agenda, to determine what council would have to make a motion report they want pulled out of consent.
Yeah.
So they have further questions. So you'd have to do that procedure.
Yeah.
So in other words, if you wanted to pull mine and Cindy's and Andrew's out at the start under consent agenda, you'd have to say we'd like to have Public Works, CAO, and CFO reports
Yeah, removed from consent agenda.
agenda. Yeah.
Okay, so is that something we have to put in our motion at our regular meeting? Or can we just accept this for information and?
Accept it for information, and then we can put another RFD, your worship, into the regular next week, and council, or 2 weeks, council will vote on the
Okay,
consent
we'll
agenda.
do it that way then.
Okay.
So, motion then to, accept this for information and put in an RFD for the, council reports at, April 25th.
I'll have to look, we may have to amend our meeting procedure bylaw, because we'll have to add consent agenda onto the protocol for your agenda. We'd have to add that. We might have to be doing an amendment.
Okay. John?
But that's for future, not for these reports, correct?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Correct, yeah, thank you. That'll be for the end of May, it'll come.
Okay.
No more what? Story time? Oh, interesting concept. Okay.
All right, well, here we are. Council reports. So, does anybody have any questions about mine, or, we got it in here?
I actually do.
Okay, go ahead.
And I mean, it comes up every now and again where, I don't know, they're attending meeting again with water stuff. I don't know. I still know nothing about what we're talking about here.
Okay.
What meeting, what are we discussing, with who, why, when? Like, I don't know. The rest of the council doesn't know what we're talking about.
So basically, I mean, there's nothing, met with the minister, Rick Wilson, C.O. Donna, and then, we were approached by the Paul band and, Enoch councillor there to, you know, they heard that we have water, right? So they wanted, we arranged to have a meeting with the minister, and basically, what it was is just to tell them what we have. Actually, Rick Wilson was a councillor with the County of Tasquin, and he was quite aware of what we had, and he wondered what happened to it for 20 years. So basically, it's just getting our name out there. There's no agreements, there's no, interesting enough, like the Paul band has lots of land out at Buck Lake that nobody lives out there. And they have, according to Chief Casey Bird there, they're having kind of quite an increase in their population. They're looking for places, and to get people out there, they need water. And then Enoch is having some issues with EPCOR, so they've approached us, and there's nothing here. It's just there's no agreements, nothing's made. It's just getting our name out there, what we have, basically. If you want to enlarge on that, say it all.
How we're going to minister, it's typical when you're working on a project. I mean, no agreements would ever be struck without coming to council, and no agreements would ever be even entertained until we discussed them. So this is just all lobbying for now, getting our name out there, feeling out the ministers, seeing what's out there and seeing if they're supportive, because it's going to help, hopefully they get reelected, so it's certainly going to help our lobbying efforts as well to move forward with this, because eventually we're going to have to look at a P3 partnership with this if we're going to distribute water, and our first contact will be Malhurst Bay, so we have to look at those kinds of things. But this is lobbying, no decisions, but we have to get our faces in front of the minister. And Thorsby's starting to make a name for itself a little bit, so that's what this is, part of the role.
Yeah. So, like, would you be interested in going to any of these?
Sure, I'd also be, again, lobbying implies that there's a specific goal in mind, and right now the only goal that's been discussed by council is, hey, it'd be great if we could sell some water. There is no goal in mind, so I don't know what we're lobbying for. That's my concern.
Well, poor choice of words, perhaps, I call it lobbying, but poor choice of words, no.
Yeah.
It's not a literal interpretation.
Sure, but you understand my hesitation here, where things get ahead of themselves very easily if nobody's asking that question.
Well, I don't operate that way, so you're okay. Poor choice of words, I'll take the lobbying back for the minute.
Okay.
You know, we've got people like Dave is on there. Dave couldn't make it for that there, and like I said, they had quite the representation. There was about 18 and 19 of them.
Yeah, it was good for them, for sure.
And they, you know, it's lobbying, I guess, like you said.
Well, it's just advice, I guess. Well, for purpose of the conversation, we'll take out the word lobbying, but it's making them aware that Thorsby's here and that we have a resource. And until you get in front of a few ministers quite a few times, they don't pay attention to you. I mean, and Thorsby, sadly, no fault to anybody, Thorsby sadly has had that unfortunate circumstance. You never go to a minister's office and expect you're going to get money. You're never going to get what you want. That's not what it is. You have to build a relationship. And so it's relationship building, so that when the big ask comes, if that's the big ask, or it comes, if that's part of what we want to do here as a collective, then we're on the same page. But they're getting to know us, and that makes it easier for council when council goes in front of the minister when we're ready to go, and that way he sees that everybody's united, or she, whoever. But this is all preliminary stuff right now.
Like once we have anything, you know, to make a decision on, that's when we bring it back. Right now, we're just kicking tires is all we're doing.
Yeah.
But if it's positive public engagement, it's a good
Correct.
thing too.
Absolutely.
There's been a lot of negativity about Thorsby over the years, and people hesitate to want to come to Thorsby because of things they've heard, whether they're true or not true.
Right. You know,
So, the more public positive engagement we can have would be a nice influence.
I was quite encouraged by some of the words that Chief Bird said, because I don't think they give compliments to a lot of people, but they were quite impressed that we actually talked with them about it and set this up for them, so they were very appreciative.
And a lot of times with ministers' meeting, they don't give you any time either. They just say, I'm ready here for such and such and such and such. And actually, Minister Wilson gave us an hour, which is unprecedented. We had a half an hour. So a lot of times you can set a time, and they'll change it on you that morning, and be there, you lose your time with the minister as well. So sometimes it's nimbler, a little bit to do it this way, but there's been nothing said. We're just, I thank you for those words, Councillor Musson, because that's exactly what this is.
I guess this would be a good time to just mention that we are gonna have a Zoom meeting tomorrow.
Yeah, that just came up late this afternoon.
Just came up today that, with the lawyers, they finished, the review of all of our stuff and the license, and they've got some questions for us, so it's just, once again, it's just a question information thing, and I guess if anybody wants to come, they're certainly more entitled to come to the Zoom meeting tomorrow.
And those reports, your worship, will be in the regular council meeting.
And it's what they've been doing for the last, with our stuff, right? They've got some questions, I think, some things with the water license, and I think, one other thing that's, concerning them is with the election coming up, you know, if we're gonna do something, we should probably do it, while these guys still in power, so that they honor it to who's gonna get in, right? So
Please get a letter of intent that they're gonna support.
So I think that's the basis for the meeting tomorrow.
That comes out of that $8,000 the council approved for them to look at all the land files.
Once again, like I say, there's no decisions made, it's just an information thing.
And what time is the Zoom meeting?
3:30. Yep, if you wanna come down.
My office, yeah, absolutely, you're welcome. So we just got that late this afternoon, and the report will be ready for you at the next council meeting. In fact, if it comes out sooner, I'll send it ahead of time, way ahead of time. I'll send it to you by the end of this week, and you've got lots of time to review
Yeah,
it.
because we'll bring it to the April 25th meeting. That's correct. Didn't have time to get it for today.
So you have lots of time to read it.
That answers your question, Corey?
Yep, like I say, to some extent, so yeah, when, I don't know, meetings about stuff, and
Yeah.
like, well, what are we doing?
No, not a problem. Any other questions? All right, thank you. If not, then Corey, whatever. Questions for Corey?
Very little, other than the one thing I was gonna bring up was, again, the Leduc Foundation thing. I mean, that's kind of a source of everything, you know. They would like to have an idea as to what is Thorsby's direction on it, but it's not actually urgent or pressing until it becomes so, which is if we get the grant, right? So, I want to say that's, it's either June or July 1st.
I think we can talk about it at budget.
Sure.
A little before then.
Yeah.
So I have a question for Council Corey. Did they ever do a formal ask? I mean, I know you're the board representative, I understand,
I
but did they ever
believe they
do
did,
formal?
but I don't get the mail here, or check the emails here.
We've
As
never-
far as I
we've
know,
never seen
they
it.
did.
Never
No,
seen it.
Never seen it.
I can double check, Margot,
If you
but,
don't mind.
yeah, like I say, as far as I know, but,
Yeah, because you had just put it in your report
Yeah.
that I brought forward
yes,
and
because they were
discussed, but
urgently trying to get an answer just to make sure they could apply for the grant in a timely fashion.
if they had support.
Yeah,
Yeah, I haven't seen anything.
okay. I'll clarify with her, I'll follow up with her.
Yeah, and I mean, if she's got one that she sent, forward it to me, and that will be helpful, because we probably could have had this in the budget or whatever if we didn't know it, so.
It was after the budget, like after we'd already done our budget, right? It
Okay.
came up in January.
Okay.
Right, so it was already after we had done our
Okay.
budget, is why it was like a weird, like, well,
Yeah.
nobody has money in their budget for this, but if we get the grant, we're gonna need to have money for it, so.
I gotcha. No, if she had a formal ask, then we can keep it for the record.
Sure,
that's all.
yeah, well, I can follow up with her and tell her to send something if she hasn't, and, yeah.
You betcha, that'd be awesome, thank you.
Any other questions? John, do you have anything?
Nothing outside of the 14th meeting, and I got my FCSS meeting next week with the county.
Thank you for that. Tracy?
Not a whole lot besides the chamber with the Gordon Bamford concert. It's still, pretty busy getting that underway, and everybody's quite excited. And I did 3 different, signings for commissioner votes, and it just was weird that I got 3 requests in the same day, and
That
I
is weird.
lined them up for the next day and went bam, 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 and signed them all, and
That was weird.
out the door. It was really bizarre. 3 different situations, and so, yeah, there's still a need in the community. It just pops up all at the same time.
Yeah, I had the auto here there too.
All right.
Okay, any questions for Tracy? Shelley?
Me, nothing much other than the meetings. The only thing was, FCSS, working on the volunteer appreciation, which is, my days are all whacked out.
19th.
Yeah, next Wednesday. So Michaela was hoping that the town or council would get a table at that event. I believe the tickets are
20 or 30.
right.
I know, I've been invited, I did some volunteer work for the Historical Society, so they invited myself and my wife. I'm going on with them. Anybody else wants to go?
What time is that at?
I think it's 5 or 5:30.
I got the same days we're meeting, if you listen to county.
And do you know the format, Shelley? Like, it is going to be table seating?
There's a poster. Yeah, it's gonna be table seating, because she said she had quite a few tables reserved already.
Yeah.
Some for Historical Society, from the library, from the fire department. I don't know if the chamber had yet or not, but she said she had quite a few tables reserved already. I had it written down.
5:30.
Your Councilor Shelley.
Sorry, the
login,
create your
Thank you. Yeah, so doors 5:30, supper 6, and entertainment 6:30. Margita is catering it, and then the entertainment is a magician, comedian, fella. So she was hoping that.
So,
I think that she needs to know by, when are the tickets deadline? Does it say on there?
Say when ticket deadline is?
no.
deadline.
Yeah, because I know she had said she needed to know her numbers, but.
And you're gonna be there, you're probably, are you MCF?
I am.
Yeah, my meeting's 5 o'clock that day, so I'm we'll go
I
to
don't know if anybody, was to wish, do you guys want to get a table for the town, or?
I think I'll probably, if, I don't know my schedule next week,
Everybody go on their own, or?
but I know I'm probably gonna go. Yeah,
I can check.
April 12th are the deadlines for tickets. It's in Michaela's report.
so that's or tomorrow.
Yeah, I bought a ticket, whether I go with library or communities in Bloom or town or chamber, doesn't matter.
You'll wear all your hats.
Yeah.
Well, just let everybody do their own thing then, I guess. That's
Yeah,
what it is.
I mean, as long as we make a representation, we're there, some of us.
So at least I know I'll be there, so. All right, anything else? I get a motion to accept council reports for information.
Make a motion.
All in favor? That is carried. CA report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll stand for questions.
Just in your report, you're talking about the demolition order, and, dragging out, has that changed since the report was written at all? It's still just kind of pending?
I've got the package here that has been done. We just sent the contract away for to the lawyers to look at the walkthroughs tomorrow.
Okay.
And they'll get a package that indicates what they need for pre-bid on site. The request for pricing is in there. In other words, RFP and the bid form is in there. They can bid either remediation, they can bid on demolition, or both. We're waiting for the remediation consultants to give us a price on. We've asked them what's in there and how does it have to be disposed. We don't think it's going to be as bad in there as we figured it was going to be. As far as asbestos, because a lot of the tiles and ceiling tiles and that, the asbestos is in the glue nowadays, so it's not considered as much of a hazard depending on the schedule. Then they'll have this package, and they'll be told to wait for the consultant's form and any addenda. We're hoping we can have this wrapped up and the bids all in by the 30th of April or the second week of May. One of the things we're going to discuss in camera tonight is this particular project for one particular reason.
Okay.
It's going smoothly. We've had some queries.
Okay. Yeah, I guess my question was just on the ground thawing and stuff, the wall's kind of unstable, so I guess that was just my concern is, hey, the ground starts getting too thawed, I don't know if it moves or not.
I agreed, and we got another issue that there's an encroachment on the top of the liquor store by about 8 to 12 inches.
Oh.
So that's going to be tough. We're just in the process of shutting off all the utilities. That takes a little bit, they have to have a copy of the court order, Fortis does anyway, so that's okay, that's just part of the process. And we think we're gonna probably, it all depends what they wanna do, we're probably gonna have to take it down from the front. And we are gonna have Hankin Street on that side, a one-way street for probably 2-3 days. People can park on the other side and still walk to the liquor store and the pet store and so forth. But we're probably gonna put rig mats on the street to protect it. But we've had some expert folks present, so, and it's been put out there for everybody, so we'll see what happens, what we get for.
It sounds like it's just not it's not a usual demolition,
No, I'm sure it's not, there's definitely, I get it, there's some weird nuance there,
Yeah, lots of weird nuance. And the sad part is we've been asked about salvage, and we said, I'm sorry, the court order, everything goes in with the building and it goes down.
Andrew?
So our biggest issue that we're having with this building is it's what's called a zero property line.
Yeah.
There's actually a piece of plywood between the two buildings.
Yeah.
So,
And that'll be the contractor's liability. We will liaise with the liquor store owner. Our insurance is aware of it, but they have to provide, liability core, WCB, all that kind of stuff. And then they will liaise with the liquor store owner to indicate to him what they're gonna do and how they're gonna do it. They're gonna have to, there could
clear up
be.
that wall and stuff.
Oh,
That's, yeah.
God, yeah. And it's either gonna be one of two ways. They may have to decide to saw down the second story by hand and then kick it in that way. Hopefully not. I know, totally brutal. And, or they'll try and collapse it in amongst themselves, but that'll be up to them. We'll take video, but, come and watch.
We're gonna get some popcorn.
Popcorn out there.
Yeah, we'll get back.
City of Grant's apartment structure, I'll see if I can get a spot on one of his balconies.
You know?
Go ahead, Jesse.
I'm the front left balcony.
Oh, it's perfect.
Meeting in Condon Place.
Yeah, and is there an actual date for it now?
Well, we want the bids in by the 30th of April, but we've asked, not the bids, the bids. But it's a little bit fluid right now while we're waiting for the consultants. So we told the bidders now, starting this week, that we'll tell them tomorrow at the walkthrough that they have to start watching our website. And that'll have all the addenda on it because it's a fluid project. And this is fairly normal.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, 100%.
Well, it's a lot that could go wrong. It's not that much work, it's a lot that could go wrong.
You're right. I mean,
Yeah,
the technical part there.
Yeah, the planning and making, how is this gonna collapse in? I get it with it's touching other buildings, yeah.
It's touchy. It's certainly taken us quite a bit of time, Andrew and I, to get all this ready, but it's good.
It's not just the collapsing in portion of it either, right? Like, once that building comes in, we gotta make sure that there's no pressure
Yeah.
on the building next to it of all the stuff that's
I know the
Pull it
guy at
down,
the liquor
pull
store,
it down.
he's really concerned.
Well, I'd be concerned too if I was saying that, yeah.
And part of that, it's not a basement, part of that is a basement slab, or basement wall, like a 3-foot wall, I guess, against the liquor store, isn't it? It's like it's a frost wall.
Yeah, it's a product.
Like, I don't know what he's gonna, that whole wall, I mean, what is he gonna take all the stuff, all his liquor and put it on the floor? I don't know, because I mean, there's a good chance that you get some rumbling and
Yep.
knock a shelf over, well.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's between him and the contractor,
Yeah.
insurance.
Suggest we go over and help them.
Party and council. Yeah, so we just sent the contract to the lawyers, this afternoon, but that will come once we have a bidder and once we have, all the documents filled in, we'll know what the cost is and, then we'll let you know in camera.
Fair enough.
Just curious what kind of support we're offering for Gordon Bamford concert.
What would you like to know?
Pardon me?
What would you like to know?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know what's
everything.
entailed. I don't know who's doing what. Is it just, a donation of the facility or, I don't know, whatever.
You mean okay.
Continuing support through municipal resources to the Bamford concert. So I don't know what that entails.
Of course, Kelly's position is support. Andrew's in mine for emergency management, and he's a CAO. I'll be on station that night, but I'll come in and work 6 o'clock till 1 in the morning. I'll just come here in the office in case there's an issue. Andrew's on call naturally. That's the support. If they need photocopying or need stuff from the office, that certainly we offer that. We have no problem with that.
Staffing, planning, scheduling, logistics,
It's just logistics, yeah, it's just part of logistics and operational logistics.
But we'll offer tables and chairs, or no?
They're planning all that, we don't have enough, but their committee is looking after all that.
The Chamber of Commerce is doing.
Okay, that's where I'm
most
just
of it,
confused where
most
it's
of
at.
it.
Yeah, they're doing most of the planning, and that's fine, we're a support role. Happy to do.
They have the liquor permit, and it's in their name, and, so.
Arctic Bus?
Pardon me?
Arctic Bus?
Chamber.
Chamber of Commerce, they couldn't, if you do it for a business, like for them, it's just pretty,
It's a brutal application.
yeah, so.
So we're happy to offer the support.
Yeah, go ahead, Shelley.
So I have a few questions, Donna. So I had someone bring up the town cleanup bins, just wanting to find out, have we had a thought process on how we're doing it this year and when it's gonna be happening?
We've been talking about it, it certainly won't be last year, it was a great success the wrong way. So we'll fix that, Andrew and I have been discussing it, we'll probably put it, either by the rec center or by the community hall, we'll put big bins. It's not gonna be till, we haven't quite set a date, but I'm probably thinking before the long weekend. Don't know yet, we haven't got that far to talk about it. No, so we'll announce it for sure.
Didn't we used to have it locked behind the gates, and then there was someone there to?
It did in many different ways.
Yeah. It's a hit and miss for a lot of things, like if we have it manned, then we're paying somebody to be there, and then some people can't get there during regular business hours. So, that being said, with having the extra staff member at Public Works now, I can alter the shifts so that we do have people there later, if that's the route that we decide to go, for sure.
Keep the fridges and the tires out, all that.
Okay. And then, the rec center, we have one cigarette receptacle, I think, by the gym hockey doors, but we don't have one by the other entrance. Everyone's using the flower pots. Do we have, like, are we able to get more receptacles?
What do you mean by the main doors, are they going by Kelly's office?
Yeah.
There's not one there?
There's
There used to be one.
there's one at one of the doors, but not at the other.
Gym one, I was just there, on the weekend for the Easter thing, there's one by the gym door, but not by
The main doors.
Okay, no, fine, we'll look into it.
Okay, and then, so you think, probably we'll have a peace officer in place by May? Question mark?
We're going to interview next week. Cal Marceo has been not well, and the council's been a bit behind, so we have 6 to interview. We'll interview them next week. Out of that one, if they're successful, it's probably 3 weeks to 4 weeks before they get their appointment. So we should have one by the end of May.
Also, I see on your report, it says, Carol's going to be renewing the resident committee to finish off that rural wellness grant, from last year. There already is a committee in place, isn't there?
I paraphrase that. So we have $2,800 left in that account to spend on the rock, et cetera, right, and the engraving. And administration could dictate what's going on with there, but we don't want to. And originally there was a committee. I think you were on it, Councillor Shelley, Carol. I just said to Carol, re-energize your committee. We've got to go get a new rock over at Stone Riders, because the original granite rock was $4,900 that they have polished, and that's way out of budget. So there'll be a new rock. That way, Shane could take a look at what plaque to put on it. If the committee still wants a plaque, then that's fine. Just only $2,800 to spend. I've talked to the rural health grant, and she said it's all been submitted. We're fine to keep the $2,800 and focus on this rock or whatever we have to do to finish this off. So this committee was formed before I got here. I have no idea who they are. But I would suggest reforming it, decide what you want to do, we'll help you out, and do what you want to do with the remaining, with respect to the rock, the plaque, and whatever remaining funds.
My next question is regarding the 2023 mental health grant.
Mm-hmm.
So is that a grant that is being paid to the town of Thorsby?
Rural mental health trains animators all across the province, right? And Mrs. Rempel pay for it herself, the town didn't pay for that. The rural mental health grant wants animators in the community to fulfill the functions. They fill out the grant application. We are the banker. Right in the grant, it says that municipal administration will have no oversight other than financial. So Carol and her team, she's got a team of volunteers. She will do what she needs to do. We'll provide support services. We can provide support in the field house and so on and so forth. But it's the same as the other two grants the animator runs.
Okay. So my question was, because when she spoke about it at FCSS, basically she said her team was all town staff. So I was just curious, like, we haven't budgeted for that, so I was curious as to.
Oh, well, how we deploy administrative staff is not worrying, your budget is set anyway. How we deploy them is up to us. But she mentioned quite a few folks in that, and then she mentioned Kelly and myself and Andrew and that. But she has a team. She has, I think, 8 or 10 volunteers.
Okay, because she's never said anyone else, so, okay, I was curious about that.
Yeah.
All right, I think that is it on my list. All right.
Awesome.
I dare ask something about something that's not on your report.
I don't know.
The metal volunteer
Oh my
sign.
God.
I know
Yes,
it's
go on.
winter and coming out of winter.
No, we have the date. We're waiting for it to thaw. It's going up hopefully before the volunteer thing, if the ground thaws.
It's not gonna, but okay.
It's actually getting to a point where it's thawed enough that I
It's
can get
better.
through it.
Yeah, we can get to it, so.
And I gotta auger the holes out, and the auger that I have, I'd end up hurting somebody if I did it while the ground was frozen. So, but we'll get her in there before the volunteer
Once
appreciation.
in a while, I just have a flash about it.
Oh, no, we're on it. I knew you were gonna ask tonight. I said to Andrew, Counselor Tracy's gonna ask about this, so get ready. It's on our mind.
All right.
Okay, anything else for the studio? Anything for Public Works Manager? Any questions on manager's report? No? You're off the hook there.
Oh, I have a question, even though I haven't really seen, what's going on with the new meter stuff? When is that gonna start?
Waiting for, response back, when the money will arrive, and we're gonna start off with the endpoints first. Get all the endpoints done, and then we can get the actual programming done at the office here, which will, free up time for us, that we're not doing meter reads and stuff like that. Then we can work on changing over the meters and stuff. So,
I have another
Please,
thought. The new build that's over in Madison, the street got dug up and it was left with quite a divot, which did get filled a week or so ago. But I feel like it's sunk again.
Oh, yeah.
Pointed out.
Yeah,
because
yeah, we're trying to stay on top, but we've got one over by, Mayor Husband's place as well, and then the one over in the trailer park, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Just, we dump gravel into it, and by the following day, it's,
All right, on my way here tonight, I hit it hard and it was
okay,
nice, so.
I'll make sure the guys.
I haven't noticed it to be like that, so.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that's the difficult part when you're digging in the winter, right? I think we got, 5 of them, I think, just from the 3 digs we did this winter, we got monitored, so, keep going.
Okay. Any other questions for Andrew? And then Kelly Probe submitted the report for the Recreation Center. Any questions on that energy report?
I can answer them if you need to.
Andrew?
sorry, I'm just gonna add to Kelly's there, we did, this was our first year going back to painting the ice, and ice removal. It was, John and myself that were doing it, and we were started at 9, I think, and we were done by 12.
Oh.
So all the changes that were done there that helped you guys dig it over.
Yeah, really, very fast. Nobody got hurt. I promised John I wouldn't run him over. So,
Okay. Any other questions? 4.4, FCS coordinator report from, Michaela. Looks like she's been pretty busy,
She's busy, yeah,
really busy.
she's doing a really good job.
20 clients, that's pretty good.
Quite good, actually.
Questions, anybody? If not, can I get a motion to accept the CEO reports?
I'll make that, CEO reports.
All in favor? Carried. TIPO report, Cindy, any questions from Cindy? Anything you want to say, Cindy?
No.
All here.
So we're still on schedule for our special meeting?
Yeah.
That's on,
13th.
8/13.
Yeah, the auditors will be here next Friday to do their final, in-house testing, and then they'll take it back to their office and do what they need to do.
Any idea what we're looking for a number yet?
No, I haven't. I'm busy trying to, oh, it's like the gift that keeps on giving. I'm trying to go back. I have to go back because the years in GP were never closed.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to balance
What about your doing?
trial balances,
Yeah.
and it's a nightmare because now the subledgers are out, and they're out from years ago.
Okay.
So the subledger, like the AP subledger, doesn't match the AP control account. They're out. The one for 2020 is out by $15,000. So I was on the phone with the consultants today, trying to figure out how to fix it, and I have ideas in my head, but will they work when I implement them? I don't know. So it's been, and until I get those done, the balances don't carry forward in the trial balance until the prior year is closed. So I don't have opening balances or anything. So, yeah, so we're, otherwise though, the testing is going well. They're happy with, everything. They said it's way better than last year. So, yeah, that is all I can tell you about the audit as of right now. Because I can't even do bank recs for 2022 until I get these trial balances done. And they've just been a complete nightmare. So.
Cindy, can you remind me why we wouldn't just pay out the LOC, the line of credit?
Because there's no money in the operating account to pay out the line of credit.
Operating, okay, I see it in the savings.
Well, the savings is reserves and our land tax, and so the land tax, not the land tax, it's the land sale file, has $95,000 in it, and I have no paperwork as to what makes that up, and we can't use it until we're sure we've had it in the account for, I think it's 5 years. So we have to go back and audit that to see if there's anybody that could come and say, you owe us money, because if we sell land for more than what it's owed to us, the resident is technically entitled to that money, and they have 5 years to come and get it. But you haven't been able to find records. I haven't been able to find records, so it's going to be an audit of those accounts, so it's going to take a bit. There is some money in the savings that we could move, because there is more in there than is in our reserves, but it's 90 days, and by 90 days, we're going to have taxed money, so there's no.
And whether you're paying more interest on the LOC or receiving interest.
Yeah, well, probably a wash, really. But I can't get the money out of savings for 90 days. I have to give them 90 days notice.
But it's a short-term, like, it's just like with tax payments, like all the money.
All the money's coming in June.
So I guess.
Yeah.
This is a lean time of year.
Yeah.
It's really.
And we've had some big expenses like we had a water main break right at the beginning of the year. Kelly had those big expenses at the rec center. So there's been a lot of large expenses that have gone out this year that have just, used up the cash. I told everybody, don't spend money unless you absolutely have to right now, because until June, we're
licking our own envelopes.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Did we decide 10 a.m. on the 13th?
Yes.
So we'll have two special notices for that day. Once the auditors are for the budget.
Any questions on the variance report?
No? All right, okay, so we get a motion to accept the safe harbor reports for information.
I'll make the motion to state that all reports separation.
Thank you. All in favor? That's carried. 6.1, correspondence. So, I just have a letter here from the Madoot Food Bank. Their general annual meeting is Tuesday, May the 16th at 4 o'clock. And they want anybody that is going to be going to that RSVP by Friday, May the 13th. And they're saying they're giving a tour of their new facility. They're available to those interested and for whom have not had their opportunity to see the Madoot and District Food Bank operation and the programs that we offer. So I don't know if anybody's gone to that in the past or that AGM?
I've
You
been a
gone to it?
while, but I haven't before. I was gonna go again.
I went last year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you'd like to go
I'm
again?
off, I'm gonna be trying to take it whenever I can.
Yes.
Yep, okay.
I RSVP'd already. I'm going.
When did you get this? Did you get this?
We got it, I got it,
Oh, you got it?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just trying to be proactive here.
No,
Thank you.
All right, good. Okay, so we'll just accept that, that's the only correspondent. Motion to accept the letter for correspondence. All in favor? That is carried. All right. From camera. Yeah, go
Oh,
ahead.
I just have a question.
Sure.
Cindy, I have written, I don't know if this is correct or not, can you please let me know? I have written down on my calendar that we're to have our expenses in next Monday, is that right? Or is it the 24th?
17th, I think.
I think it's next, yeah, because payday was last week, so it'd be again next week.
April 17th.
Okay, it just seemed really early and I'm like.
Yeah, it's because then we're getting
But
into like,
yeah,
yeah, we're getting
weird,
that weird
yeah.
time, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
That worked out too. Okay, well, there's no gallery here. Do you guys want to take a break or do you want to go into?
Yeah.
I'll take a break, yeah.
Yeah, I've been waiting for it.
Shouldn't have drank that ginger ale, no?
I haven't because I needed to go so bad, so
Motion.
half it.
Yeah, motion to take a 10-minute break. John, all in favor?
Everybody's like, I've got.